All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to try and break down one of the most out there theories of God and hell you will probably ever hear. It comes from the mind of Christopher Langan, and this has nothing to do with traditional religion. This is all based on his incredibly dense framework, the Cognitive-Theoretic Model of the Universe, or CTMU for short.
Okay, so let's just start with this quote because it really sets the tone. Langan's definition of hell is, well, it's pretty chillin'. You can forget all about fire and brimstone. In his model, hell isn't some place you're sent to. It's a process you go through, the complete and total annihilation of who you are. So right away, you know we're in for a very different kind of discussion.
So, how does this process of annihilation even begin? Well, Langan's first big idea is that hell isn't a punishment from the outside. It's something you do to yourself.
And this analogy he uses, it's everything. In the world of the CTMU, nobody sends you to hell. You literally lock yourself in by choosing to reject your own deepest nature. It's a prison you build, and guess what? You're holding the only key.
And this is where it gets really personal. That torment you might feel before you're completely gone, it's not a one-size-fits-all deal. Langan says it's shaped entirely by your mind, your fears, your beliefs. Whatever you think hell is, well, that's what you get at first, because you're the one bringing it into your own prison.
Now, to really wrap your head around this idea of a self-made hell, we have to talk about Langan's definition of God. And I'm telling you right now, you can throw out any image you have of some old guy with a beard in the sky.
Okay, so here's a key piece of the puzzle. It's a concept Langan calls stratified identity. He's basically saying your identity isn't just one thing. It has layers. And the deepest, most fundamental layer, it's a universal consciousness, an identity that connects every single one of us. And in the CTMU, that highest level of shared identity is God.
This little chart here just lays it all out, crystal clear. On the left, you've got Langan's idea. God is our own highest self, baked into the fabric of a self-contained reality. And on the right, you've got the more familiar idea. God is some external being, separate from the universe. It's a massive shift, you know? It's not about an external judge anymore. It's about an internal principle of reality itself.
And once you accept that premise, the logic just clicks into place, right? If God is your own highest identity, then denying God means you're literally denying a part of yourself. You are, in effect, trying to cut your own soul in half. And because reality, or God, has to be totally self-consistent, it just logically can't have a piece of itself running around that's actively denying it exists.
Okay, so let's take this theory out for a spin. Let's make it practical. What does this whole framework mean for people who don't believe in God at all? Langan calls this the Atheist's dilemma.
This brings up a really fascinating question. I mean, if hell is a personal experience based on your beliefs, what happens to an atheist who doesn't believe it even exists? To dig into this, Langan uses the well-known intellectual Richard Dawkins as a very specific example. And Langan's take on this is, well, it's very psychological. He suggests that before that final stage of just disappearing, the personal hell for someone like Dawkins, who's built a career on public debate and being heard, would be a state of just complete and total irrelevance, a place where his ideas, his voice, just meets silence.
But that personal torment, that's just the warm-up act for the main event, a process Langan calls unbinding, and it's a chilling four-step journey. Step 1, you deny ultimate reality. That act, he says, leads directly to step 2. You sever your own soul, cutting yourself off from that higher identity. From there, it's step 3. You effectively become invisible to God, to reality itself. And the final step, you're just gone. You get unbind from reality and simply cease to exist.
Now you might be thinking, hold on, if denying God leads to non-existence, why are there still atheists walking around? Langan's answer is that their physical body acts like a temporary container, a temporary anchor for their identity. They have, in his words, basically reduced themselves down to pure physicality. But when that body dies, that anchor is gone.
But things get a little more complicated, right? Because what about the difference between what a person says they believe and how they actually act? This gets us into a more nuanced part of the theory.
I mean, this is a huge philosophical question. You've probably heard people like Jordan Peterson argue that your actions show what you truly believe. So if an atheist lives a good moral life, are they kind of aligned with God anyway, no matter what they say? In Langan's model, can their good deeds save them? Langan's answer to that is a hard no. And his reasoning is really key here. He says that doing good things just to get social approval, well, that's not good enough. In his view, openly professing atheism isn't just words, it's a powerful metaphysical act that actively severs the soul. And healing that kind of wound, he claims, isn't as simple as just changing your mind. It's a long, hard process.
Now, Langan doesn't just keep his CTMU in its own little theological box. Oh no. He actively uses it as a lens, maybe even a weapon, to critique the theories of other modern thinkers.
I mean, just take his comments on the physicist Klee Irwin. Langan doesn't pull any punches. He basically claims Irwin's theories are so much like his own that they're a CTMU clone. But, he argues, it's an incomplete clone, that it's missing essential structure. He even mentions that he had to fight just to get a proper citation for his own work.
And this really gets to the heart of his disagreement with physicalist thinkers like Dennett or Joscha Bach. They're on the side that says consciousness can eventually be explained by computers and physics. Langan says no way, that's impossible. For him, consciousness is fundamentally metaphysical. It has this kind of unified coherence that, he argues, a purely physical system could just never ever achieve.
Okay, let's pull back for a second to the moral side of this. It would be really easy to hear all of this and think it's some kind of call for absolute perfection. But Langan is very clear here. You know, being imperfect, making mistakes, having a bad day, that's just part of being human. In his model, that is not what makes a person evil.
So here's the bottom line. The ultimate sin, the one act that starts you down that path to self-destruction, isn't about being flawed. It's the willful, conscious choice to deny and negate reality itself. It's an act of rejecting your own highest self, which, in the CTMU, is literally the same as rejecting your own existence.
And all of this leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending question that really gets to the core of Langan's whole philosophy. If the most fundamental layer of who you are is God, this universal consciousness that we all share, then what does that actually mean for your sense of individuality? Where do you stop, and where does God begin?